I'm seeing a lot of videos in which the presenter mistakes compound paths and compound shapes in Adobe Illustrator, but the difference can be quite important. So, hello to the Vector Garden YouTube channel. In this small series, we're going to take a look at how to create compound paths and compound shapes, what's the difference, why it matters, what you can use them for, and how to solve some issues that might appear when you use them. With all the things we have now learned about compound paths and compound shapes, we can also tackle some export and import things between Creative Cloud applications, and also some things that work with the clipboard. Let's take a look at export and import first and take a look at Photoshop. So I'm going to draw some shapes here, and the bottom one will consist of two shapes. And for those, I'm going to use a compound shape. So let's first create that. I'm just going to combine them so that they are united. This one here will also be a compound shape, but on its own. And then we have this one, which will just stay a rectangle, so a path. And I'm going to select all of them and set up the stroke in a specific way. It has to be rounded corners. So that's just something that needs to be that way. And also you have to watch out that it's on the center of the path. So we're going to export this to Photoshop. Let's set up a color as well. And to do that, there are two methods. And what we want to have is preserve as much editability as possible. And for vector object, that would mean I want to have shape layers. So how do we get that? As I said, there are two methods. One is the clipboard and the other one is exporting. So let's first go to export, export as, and then select PSD from here so we can export a Photoshop document. And in here we can set up the options. Now here it's important, we want to have right layers and maximum editability. So if you change the color mode here, then that is not possible. So you have to set up your file in the color mode you need, and then you can set up that. Also, I'm going to leave the resolution as is because it's not important for this one. Okay. Let's just do it, and now it's been exported. And also I'm going to select all of these and just copy them. Let's just copy them just like this and switch to Photoshop. And then we're going to open that file. Here it is. I'm just going to open it, and there we can see it in the layers panel. And let's just expand these layers, and you see we've got a compound shape here. And I have selected the selection tool, and you see we've got these two paths, and we can still move things around like this. So this is really a compound shape here. And Photoshop supports compound shapes. This one is a compound shape as well, so it's a shape layer, but this one is a pixel layer. So if you do not convert your vector shape into a compound shape, even if it's just one path, then you will not get a shape layer. So this one cannot be scaled a lot. Let's check out how this works with the clipboard. I'm going to create a new file, and then let's just go to paste. And here we can check out what we want to have. And I want to have layers because that preserves most of the stuff. So if I have a mixture of things that should be pixels and things that have effects or transparency, and then I want to have shapes, so that would be the option. Like this. Okay. And then it tells us, well, I can only convert stuff, and then that's that. So let's go to just carry on. And here what we have is just this one is actually a rectangle. And these others are compound shape. Well, the layers are named compound shape because that's how they would have been called in Illustrator, but they are actually pixel layers. So this simple one could be preserved, the other ones could not be. So if you are transferring things via the clipboard, then compound shapes do not play out quite as well. Let's take a look at InDesign. And in order to get into InDesign and in order to preserve your shapes from Illustrator and not have just everything like placed into some kind of capsule, then you have to use the clipboard as well. So let's just paste this. And there we have it. And then you see it's pasted as a group and everything is just a rectangle and the compound shapes just got deleted. So they vanished when copying and pasting. Now let's get to something that is really, really weird in InDesign. I'm going to create 2 new shapes and let's just have them without a stroke. They only have a fill. And I'm going to make a copy and these have just a stroke and no fill. And let's copy these 2. They are not grouped. So let's just copy them, go to InDesign, and then let's paste this. And you see, it gets pasted as a group, and that's that. Let's go back and take these. Remember, they have a stroke, but no fill. Let's copy them, go to InDesign, and paste them. And here it gets really weird, because we do not get a group, we get a compound path. I don't know why that happens with stroked objects that don't have a fill. So if you do not need that, then you have to go to Object, Paths, and release the compound path. Thankfully, it's the same shortcut as in Illustrator, so you can just use that. So this is how compound paths and compound shapes work out between the 3 apps.